Hey guys, it's Tommy CM. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Let's Build Alton Towers. Now, quick disclaimer, I'm currently recording this whilst I have COVID. So if I do cough in this episode, then I do apologise. I will try and keep the coughs to a minimum, but it is hard to talk and not cough at the moment. But yeah, I will try and soldier on. Obviously in the last episode we built the dark forest, which we're just going through here. And we just kind of got this all set up ready for the installation of Rita and 13, which are the two coasters that sit in this area. Rita is the one I'm going to be building here in this episode, and Rita is a launch coaster. It's quite a unique launch coaster because it doesn't. A lot of launch coasters use height after their initial launch, but Rita, obviously because Alton Towers have a tree height limit in the park, they had to kind of keep the track below that, and therefore Rita's layout is very different to many launch coasters. For me, it's pretty quick in terms of a coaster and almost too short for the length of the duration. But I mean, it's still an enjoyable coaster, still incredibly long queues for the ride every time you go to Alton Towers. So yeah, I mean, you know, it certainly still pulls in the guests anyway. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be building in this episode. So yeah, I will join you once I've got the layout completed. Right, and here is Rita. So I've got the layout all sorted. As I mentioned, it's not a very long coaster at all. I mean, the key parts are the hydraulic launch just here. The path goes underneath the launch as that heads off towards 13 in that direction. The track is sort of like a twister layout in the sense of it just goes under and over itself. And yeah, as I say, there's not a lot to it other than the launch. It goes up to 61 mile an hour within 2.5 seconds. And then as you come down here, you've got the brakes. There is a transfer track section just here with a little shelter that I will build. But other than that, that is pretty much the layout. Now the stats on this are a little bit different to the real life ones, so I'm not going to do a comparison like I normally would. Mainly the stuff, mainly like the track length, etc. I've had to kind of tweak to get this spot on to fit into this replica of the park, but it's not quite the same length as in real life. This track is a little bit longer, but I mean, in terms of the length, it's not right, but the layout is correct in terms of the you know, the size of the bends. It's just getting the speed accurately off that launch, and so yeah, other than that, that's the only difference to this. Now you do see the coaster as you walk into the entrance of the dark forest. You do see the coaster just here, kind of flying off as you come in. It's an open station, so the station building doesn't actually have much to it. There is a little bit of a cabin and a countdown, but other than that, there's not much to it. But yeah, I mean, the theming itself will just mostly be trees, in all honesty, all around here, and then there'll be the queue line path. Now the queue line does kind of go around quite a bit because the queue is always, I mean, you can go to Alton Towers any time and Rita will always at minimum be a 60-minute wait, unless you go there first. But yeah, and then you come on here, go up and join the actual ride. I've tried to get the colour scheme right. I think those colours are fairly accurate as a representation of the real life ride. Let me know if you think that I could probably change them, but I'm fairly happy with those. The length of the train is right as well. There is only 5 cars on each train and only 2 trains going around at any one time, with a third being in the transfer section. But yeah, that is the layout. As I say, there's not that much more to add to that, other than I will hop back once I've completed the theming to Rita. This hasn't taken me that long to build the layout at all. I mean, obviously, it is just really bends and getting that launch, but yeah, using on my POVs on YouTube to get the track layout right, I'm fairly happy with that. I'm fairly happy with how that's come out. So yeah, I will come back once I have got the theming all finished. Right, I have completed Rita. I've completed theming it. To be honest, out of all the coasters at Alton Towers, it's probably the least themed coaster. Therefore, it's not taken me too long. It's taken me still a bit of time to get it right, but it's not taken me too long to build. But yeah, here you can see the finished product. So this is the sort of view that you get when you come into the dark forest and you see it launch away like that in the distance. I didn't time that perfectly. That was just coincidental. I'm not quite a perfectionist like that to get that timed right. But yeah, so as I mentioned before, it is an outdoor station. There's no sort of structure over the station platform. It is all outdoors. The only thing you've got is the sort of race control tower with like the operations are sat, and then and then you've obviously got the racing lights to start it off. Now, Rita itself opened in 2005, so it is 16 years old now, going on 17, and when it first opened, it was built. This whole area of the park was called Ugland, which is spelled UG. So yeah, Ugland, which was themed to like a prehistoric area. So it's like dinosaurs and stuff. And it was where the original corkscrew roller coaster, which still has the corkscrews of that coaster at the entrance of Alton Towers. It was where the original coaster was sat. Hence why you have these custom supports that I've built here. Now, if you look at the photos of Rita, you do get these. It's a really weird looking support system on this section of the track, but it's because part of the corkscrew coaster came underneath here. So they had to kind of build around it, and they've never altered it. It's just stayed like that. It works, I guess, so why bother changing it? But yeah, it does look a bit odd now because it's not kind of over anything in particular. Yeah, so yeah, the rest of it obviously just got the lockers there. Out the back here we have a transfer track, so just inside here we've got the spare train, and then the track here, and I've deliberately put a second piece that's slightly off. You can see there it's not quite lined up, because this piece slides back and forth in, just there. So yeah, so you can see how they'll do that. And then at the back of the station here we've just got the staff only path down to that building. Now the rest of this area, so as I say, we've got that the queue line. This is the closest fencing I could probably get to what's actually there. It's mainly wooden sort of poles, but the wooden pole fencing doesn't quite look right, and it's not tall enough. So what I did was I've used these sort of like pencil shaped logs, and I feel as though they're as close as I could possibly get. The fence actually does kind of cover up the guests. You can't like look over the fence to see anybody in there. You are sort of pinned in until you get up the ramp at the end. But yeah, we'll walk down here. Over here I've built some lockers, because there are some lockers over here. Now I wasn't quite sure. You can see she's using one over there. Definitely haven't got an ATM hidden inside there. So yeah, I wasn't sure how many lockers I was going to put in, because it would all depend on the space I'd need to get down here. So yeah, so I've got the lockers there, got some more vending machines. As we go through here, just this nice little tunnel. There's a few cables and a few supports, etc. going through here. It looks a bit weird, and I'm not going to say, I don't know how to describe it. It looks a little bit messy in real life, and I don't know whether that's intentional or not. But yeah, and then you get to like an open plaza here, and then obviously you've got your entrance to Rita. Now, Rita's entrance is not actually that big. It is just a small tyre archway that goes over the main entrance. However, there is an item in Planet Coaster that is this race bridge here. It's used for the go-karting. Now, that is a ready-built tyre archway, and although it's a lot bigger than I'd probably need, I feel as though it would do the job much better than I would if I was trying to build my own tyre. So yeah, I've gone for that, and then I've built the Rita sign. Essentially, I mean, the Rita sign's not too difficult, to be fair. It is just a few sort of block pieces. They are just sort of square pieces with a few curves on the end, and then the flames at the side. Now, to get the flames, all I did is basically if you go on here and search for flame, you get the flame sign here. So all I did was I just put this down next to that, and I traced over some of the flames, and then it's turned out all right. I'm quite pleased with it. So yeah, that's how I've done that. Now, moving on from here afterwards, I will be going down and building 13, which kind of starts, the queue line starts down here and then goes through the woods. It goes under, it does go under a section of Rita before getting to the ride itself, which starts around this sort of area, and then goes into the woods, and yeah, does that track itself. So we'll have a look down at the queue line. The queue line for Rita is very long, it's very tedious, and for me, this might be a bit of a weird gripe, but this is possibly the most annoying queue line in the world for me. There's no sort of pattern to it, and you just feel like you just feel like you're continuously queuing and you're never going to get to the end, which is what I've tried to kind of replicate there. But as you do get round, you do get underneath the launch just here, going through, and then up to the ride itself. What else is it to point out? So yeah, so on here obviously it's a race. It says race control there. Now, when it first opened in Ugland, it was called Rita Queen of Speed. It was themed to like a drag race, as you can probably guess. It was themed to like a drag race, and when 13 got built in 2010, I believe, that's when the area renamed to the Dark Forest, and the theme to Rita, they dropped the Queen of Speed section, so it just became known as Rita, and then this was then themed to like being a drag car, an abandoned drag race, and the vehicle being the only way to escape the Dark Forest. So when the lights change, there's a voice that says, keep your head back, you must escape, go, go, go. So yeah, instead of it being like a race start now, it is you still get the lights, but it's more about trying to escape the Dark Forest more than anything. Now we'll just have a quick look at this at night time, just there. So let's just have a look at the whole thing for a start. So there's the whole area at night time. I've tried to light up bits of the coaster. We've got the whole Dark Forest area itself is sort of like a yellowy and greeny tint, just to get that sort of creepy looking feeling going off, because I think having white lights kind of reduces that. So I thought having green and sort of green and yellowy tint kind of gives off a bit more of a spookier vibe. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how the lighting looks all throughout the queue line. We've got the little lights here just so the queue line's not in darkness. And then right, so if we go over here, and we'll just fast forward it so these guys can get on, because I want to show you this light system. Now, one thing about the lights in this game is you can sequence them so they only come on at a certain time, but as you'll see, they are constantly on there. However, they're not shining, they're just on. You'll see in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, green, and go. So I have sequenced them. It's just that you can't see it unless it's dark and it's shining on the building. Really annoying, but that's what we've got to work with the game. I can't do anything else about that. But I wanted to point out I have sequenced the lights. The lights do work. It's just that they're always on, and I can't do anything else about that. So yeah, that's one thing to point out. The other thing, let me just go back again, and we'll fast forward to get these guys on. Right, so the other thing is, if I pause it just there, now if you're on the front row, say you're just here, you're going to be breaking your neck to see those lights, right? And I appreciate that is probably a little bit too high, because I can't bring the train back any further. The reason why they're there, and I've tried every which way to do this, but this is the best solution. The reason why they're there is because if I move this building, right, let's just get on here. If I move this building, you'll see that the ride operator starts to appear. Okay, so that building at the minute is sat as close to the edge of the ride operator as possible. So that building can't move any further. And I could have extended the building a little bit more to get the lights there. However, the shape of the building itself it is this sort of like, it's not really a rectangular shape, it's more of an off square, which is what I've got here. And I did try building it a bit further and it just didn't look right. So I've just, I've kind of had to make do with that, just because I'd rather the people on the front row break the neck to look at those lights, as opposed to getting this building, which everybody's going to see all the time, stand out, more sort of inaccurate. So that's what I've gone for there. I'm happy with it. It's just, it's just slightly, if you're going to be, if you're going to have a look at this part once I've uploaded it to the workshop at the very end, that's one thing to bear in mind, is that I am aware that they're breaking the neck to look at that. There's just not many other ways I could have done it, in all honesty. So yeah, that's it is what it is. Is there anything else I need to point out here? I don't think there is, to be fair. As I say, there's the transfer track. You've got the little brake section. There's a little road and parking system down here. This road kind of leads around, and it kind of services both Rita and 13. So yeah, I don't think there's much else to add around that bit. I have done, if I just go back to daytime, I have spray painted a bit of a path down the back of these shops just here. And as we go down here, you'll see there is a door that goes through this section. So yeah, no, I've thought about behind those buildings. But yeah, no, I'm quite happy with how the Dark Forest is coming together there. I mean, the back half of Rita at the minute, there isn't much theming to. Like this is just about out in the open, but that's just because it kind of integrates with 13, and because I've not built that yet, this still looks open. So yeah, at the minute, still work to be done there, but that will all follow in the next episode. So I think we'll finish by hopping on for a POV. Now I will go on it in the daytime, so I don't need to see the lights go off in the daytime, because they wouldn't go off anyway. So we'll hop on there, and yeah, do enjoy Rita. There we go, as quick as that. As I say, people queue up, an hour and a half, 2 hours to ride that for like 27 seconds or however long it lasts. So yeah, it's not it's not the longest coaster in the world, but it is a nice coaster. It is a fun launch. I just probably wouldn't queue that long to go on it, if I'm being completely honest. And obviously, as a launch coaster, usually height is involved. Alton Towers, as I said before, have a tree height restriction. Therefore, the highest point has to be below the trees, and that's what it does here. And to get that effect, the trees at the back here are slightly floating, because I wanted to lift them up more than the trees at the front there, and that kind of surrounds the coaster really. So yeah, that's what I've gone for there, just to kind of get that in. I will be kind of finishing off this edging around here. Once I've got 13 in place, I can come back and complete all of that. But yeah, no, other than that, thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you are new. And yeah, I shall see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.